gold, ability materials, gear, training materials. I have hoarded all of these, and now I will use them to build the characters and teams. I am Dogbert. I will be your guide on this journey as we try to discover if they are worth it. Hello and welcome to Worth It, where I go over a character, and today we're going to be going over Kang, so I don't have to answer as many questions. We can talk about him and look at him in game if you want. I'll show you where my Kang's at. So let's talk about his pros. He unspawns speed bar for himself and allies. He is essentially the new Cable when it comes to unspawn filling, and this is why he will be an arena character going forward. He might go in and out of the meta. He might only be used in certain hybrids, but he will be used. So you're going to get a lot of use out of him. And he is a tech character. Now, why is this a pro? Because we haven't had very many good tech characters, which means we have a lot of tech gear laying around, which means we can easily gear him. And we can take him up to this, like gear 16, gear 17 without a problem, because there's no gear 17s needed other than Kestrel as far as tech gear, so you're probably going to get some extra of that stuff anyway. Might as well use it. He deals a high amount of damage. He definitely hits hard. I'm seeing like 500,000, 600,000 hits on single hits, and he does do some double hits where it gets up to 800, or even up to 1,000,000 if he crits enough and has offense up and defense down, stuff like that. But he does a high amount, and this is only at 4-4. Once we start getting him at 5-5, 6-6, 7-7, it's going to be crazy amounts of damage from him. He does reduce enemy speed bar with the ultimate. We kind of forget about that, but he is actually reducing 10% speed bar, although his ultimate is turn 2. And talking about his ultimate, he also prevents a revive with the ultimate. So if you happen to kill a character with the ultimate, they will not be able to revive. Now, this might not be as impactful as is now with him at lower star levels, but as we build him up and get him to higher star levels to match the characters we usually use, like in Arena, with Dormammu and everything, this could become quite important. He also gets 10% speed bar when an enemy gets speed up. Meaning, in other words, if you're going against a 2099, for instance, he's going to get an extra 10% speed bar to start, so Kang's going to be going much quicker than you would think as far as the turn order, so keep those things in mind. This also comes in play in Cosmic Crucible War, wherever you're using him, that when the enemy gets speed up, all of a sudden, he's going to speed up a little bit more himself. He does deal damage and heals himself on his turn. Is it a lot of damage? No, but it could be enough to finish somebody off if they're just hanging on barely. And healing himself on turn is always nice. And on top of this, he also transfers negative effects off of himself onto the enemies. That's a little bit better than a clear, since you're putting those negative effects on the enemies rather than just clear them. And speaking of clearing, he also clears barrier, he clears death proof, and he clears positive effects, depending on which ability you're using. But he clears barrier on a couple of different abilities. He clears death proofs with his ultimate, he clears positive effects with his ultimate. He can clear speed up on all enemies in Cosmic Crucible. He just does a lot. He is definitely going to be very useful in Cosmic Crucible with his team. Masters of Evil, quite good. But I can also see him as being a general plug-and-play character for War as well, as of course Arena. And of course, we come to his cons. His focus is low. You're going to notice this with his focus. I noticed it in testing in Dark Dimension. I thought his special was broken because it was never applying slow to adjacent targets. Well, it turns out it was just his low focus because eventually I landed it. It's just that. His focus is too low. But do not run him with Skirmisher because, honestly, it didn't really matter. He mostly does land debuffs that you do need to land. It didn't make too much of a difference to me yet. Maybe it will make more of a difference in the arena as we go forward. We'll have to wait and see. He is T4 heavy. Like I said, you pretty much want all the T4s on him. Pretty much if you're looking for a priority order, go from bottom to top, passive, ultimate, special, basic. In that order if you're the 1 T4s, but if you have the T4s, put them all into him. And his speed bar, it is only on offense, meaning you put him on defense, he's not given that speed bar. Cable will, he will not. just keep that in mind, especially if you're mirror matching, somebody has Kang on their defense, you should go first. In fact, your whole team should go first because they'll have more speed bar. So, is Kang worth it? Kind of. I don't know if you should really be spending as much money as I did on him, but he's definitely going to be a very long-term character, like Cable, like a Loki, like an Emma, who's going to be around for a while. And as hybrids come out, we're going to use him in war. We're going to use him anywhere. He's going to be a plug-and-play character. And because of the speed bar fill thing, he's going to be around for a very long time. For God's sake, we're still using Cable. So, is he worth it for Cosmic Crucible? Obviously, that's where he's built for. Masters of Evil, built for Cosmic Crucible. He doesn't really have a place in raids, at least at the high end. I tried him out, could not make him work reliably. I could see him being used in lower end raids for newer players, just before they get Bionic Avengers up and running, maybe. I could see that definitely being a use of tech gear and bringing him into raids there, but overall not for higher end raids. Arena, of course, he's going to be useful in Arena. He has speed bar manipulation, and that is very key to Arena. Keep going first. Is he going to be like the Arena meta? No, he's going to be part of hybrids mostly. As you need to go faster than your opponent to beat whatever defense you're going against. There are ways to beat him very easily when he's on defense because he does not get that speed bar fill. So we're going to see him on offense in hybrids as we need to speed up past our opponent's defense. War, yes, he'll be useful in war. Like I said, he's a plug-and-play character. That speed bar fill does come in quite handy. You can plug him in where you would normally use a Cable or Emma. He's just another option. So now we have 3 options instead of just 2, not counting Loki because he's kind of gimmicky in that you have to use him with Mystic Controllers to speed them up. Dark Dimension. Absolutely useful in Dark Dimension. I tested him out there. And don't forget, he is a cosmic character. That's something that we haven't been getting too many of. I think this will now be a go-to character for Dark Dimension 5, along with Kestrel and the Eternals, and then pick your 5th. But this does give us a good option there. He's very good in Dark Dimension. He does have high survivability. So my suggested gear level for him actually is to go all the way to the moon, gear 17, level 95. We have the gear 17 laying around because he is tech. As long as you got Kestrel done, this is the only other tech character I would say to bring to gear 17, maybe Bionic Avengers if you really want to. But he's a very good option for this, because he is going to be around for such a long time. He's not going away anytime soon. And he just came out, of course. So now let's go back and talk about like that Dark Dimension Arena thing. Let's talk about ISO. There's really 2 ISOs for him, Striker and Raider. My preferred method is actually Raider. This gives him more survivability and he gets a bunch of evades. We're going to see this in Cosmic Crucible. You're going to see this even in Arena a little bit. The other thing is, you'd want to use Raider in shorter fights. Why? Because you're not going to be doing that basic very often, usually only on turn 3. If you even make it to turn 3 where it matters. In Arena, it's very quick fights. You need to get it over with. He'll have done everything he needs to do in the first couple of turns, and he hits very hard. So you want him to crit even more, do even more damage. You definitely want Raider. Now, in longer fights where you want him to get even more speed bar fill on that basic, then you might want to look at running Striker. This would be like possibly in Dark Dimension, or if we find some kind of hybrids in War, there could be uses for him to be Striker to get more speed bar to take more turns. But like I said, that's going to wait and see how we come up with some hybrids, how he keeps getting plug and played, how the future rolls out. And at this point in stage, Blue ISO 3 is not that big of a deal to get unless you're a newer player, maybe who hasn't done the Doom 3 raids as much. But for most veteran players, we can switch between Raider and Striker to our heart's desire. I have them actually at both, Blue level ISO 3, that's how I was able to test them. And like I said, I found him working best for me as Raider, but there are cases for Striker. I do prefer Raider, though. So that pretty much wraps it up for Kang. And what I have, and I'll think, if you want to see it, I have mine already at gear 16, level 85. I have tested him in the arena. Not overall impressed. He's just going to be another character that plugs and plays and gives us more speed bar. He's not going to upset the meta the way it is. It's still going to be 2099 Spider Weaver along with somebody else. I could very easily see Kang 2099 Spider Weaver, the Eternals easily beating the Four Horsemen in Apocalypse coming into the future. And I think I'll just wrap this video up. I've been talking for too long. Until next time, everybody.